Hello everyone, it is Kaahlan and welcome back to the class trial. We are right in the middle of it. We're gonna learn some more about non-stop debates here and hopefully figure out who the killer was, even though it's probably Leon. But you know, maybe the upside down numbers, aka his name, are just a red herring. Let's see. From here on out, the number of weak spots will start going up. But no matter how many weak spots, there's essentially only one lie or contradiction in that debate. What I'm trying to say is, not all weak spots you see are necessarily false. Use a truth bullet on the wrong one, and not only will you fail to refute what they said, but you'll also lower your trust with everyone, and your influence gauge will take damage. Now this is important, because if your influence gauge reaches 0, you fail. You'll have to rely on your own logic to determine which weak spots are actually lies or contradictions. Well then, good luck and have fun. Alright, gonna try my best not to mess this up. Alright, we have the bathroom door frame.
The incident took place in Makoto's room. Sayaka was first attacked in the main room. She then fled into the bathroom.
Then the killer ran after her. And they got into the bathroom. At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door, because Sayaka had locked it.
And finally, the culprit had Sayaka cornered.
I guess I should...
Stabbed her with the kitchen knife.
It was you, wasn't
I
it,
feel like
Makoto?
maybe
Admit it. We already know the answer.
the locked door is the one. It's not because the door was locked. No, there's a different reason entirely. Okay, that's what I thought. So really, it's Leon's second phrase.
Sayaka was first attacked in the main room. She then fled into the bathroom.
Then the killer ran after her. And they got into the bathroom. At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door, because Sayaka had locked it.
Okay, it's not locked.
No, it's wrong.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't
The
accidentally
reason
click
my
on the
bathroom
bust
didn't
down the
open
door.
wasn't because it was locked.
What was
After
it,
all,
Makoto?
The girls' rooms are the only ones with locking bathrooms, right?
Yes, now that you mention it, that is true.
It is true.
Then why didn't your bathroom door open?
Because the frame is messed up.
Because it was stuck.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My bathroom door doesn't fit in the frame quite right. Monokuma over there can testify to that.
It's true, he sure can.
Yep, true as true can be. But you know, you're supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, right? But to have such a cruddy door...
Well,
that's not lucky at all!
that information is
So
currently
the reason the
saving
door
me.
didn't open was just because it was stuck.
Yep.
But the killer didn't know that and assumed it was locked. So they tore apart the doorknob to get in.
Okay, but then why would the killer even think the door was locked in the first place? Everyone should have known you can't lock any of the boys' bathrooms.
The killer could easily make that mistake, thanks to one important detail about the scene of the crime.
The killer was convinced the bathroom door was locked, so they didn't know that the door actually couldn't be locked. In other words, the important detail about the scene of the crime was that they didn't know, or that they didn't know was... They didn't know the crime took place in my room. They thought it was Sayaka's room?
The killer must
Yeah, that
not
would
have
make sense.
realized that it was my room.
What? Are you saying the culprit didn't even know where he was? That's inconceivable!
And yet, he's absolutely right.
See, Kyoko's totally a detective.
Say what?
Well, to
Ifumi's
be more
reactions are
specific,
top tier.
what the killer didn't know was that Makoto and Sayaka had switched rooms. Which is what led to the misunderstanding about the bathroom. If Sayaka had been in her own room, then...
Then there would have been a lock on the door, and they would have had to break through.
So they had no idea how unnecessary their actions were.
Ultimately, we can't know if it came open by force or simply by accident. But the killer must have been considerably confused, with no idea how they actually got the door opened.
Oh, that's interesting.
Regardless, it was a pointless act.
I need to pay more
Wasting
attention to
time
the
trying to
evidence.
break down
I'm
a
just
door that
letting
wasn't
Kyoko walk
locked
me
is-
through this.
Definitely something I wouldn't do, since I would have known exactly why it wasn't opening, right?
Good job, Makoto.
That is a definite possibility.
I
So the
staged all
killer
of
would
this
have
to
to
make
be
it look
someone
like
who
I didn't know it
know
was
they'd
my
switched
room.
rooms?
Then Makoto couldn't have done it.
It was all a ruse. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Okay, then who did do it?
I'm sorry, but I give up. Quit without saving.
Wow, throwing in the towel already.
But what happens if we can't decide on who we think did it?
Well, why don't we just vote right now?
No,
Majority
that's
rules.
a terrible idea, Kiyotaka. There's so much at stake here. Unless you were the killer, which I don't think you
Majority
are.
rules? You really think that's a good idea?
You seem very anxious about that, Leon.
Yeah, our necks are on the line here.
So does Hiro.
Someone seriously needs to do something.
Does no one have any other thoughts or questions? It does not matter how trivial they may seem.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have one question.
Yes, Hina?
Oh, you.
Wow, Celeste.
You don't gotta sound so disappointed.
Why is everyone so mean to Hina?
It's fine, it's fine. Just ask your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, well, I was just wondering, how did the culprit get into Makoto's room in the first place?
Yes. How did the killer get inside?
That is a great question.
Maybe Sayaka just dropped the key somewhere and the culprit picked it up. That's possible, right?
I don't think so. That seems way too convenient.
Then maybe someone picked the lock?
Aren't the locks like super high
Negative.
tech?
If you remember, Monokuma
Yeah,
made
okay.
it quite clear that the locks are all unpickable.
Fine. How about this? The killer got in the easy way. They could have knocked and said they wanted to talk or something, and Miss Maizono just let him in.
No, we had an agreement.
No, that can't be it either.
Look, we talked
Oh,
about this.
Trying to argue against me? Sounds like someone doesn't know his place.
Hifumi, you literally said you were quitting like 5 seconds ago. Get
Oh,
out of here.
Why exactly can't that be it?
Because she asked me to do something in particular because of how frightened she was. That's the answer right there. Yeah, she asked me to switch rooms. There's no way Sayaka lets someone in because
I got it! Because Sayaka was already scared, remember? That's why she asked me to switch rooms in the first place.
Makoto is also sweating a lot though. I mean, to be fair, everyone thinks he's the killer, so I guess it makes sense. The same goes for you, Sayaka. No matter who it is, don't open your door for anyone. Even if I'm sure it's you, I absolutely won't open it. Otherwise, what's the point of even switching?
Knowing what she'd been through, I just can't believe she would have opened the door for anyone.
What if her being scared was a lie?
Oh?
Huh? What the hell is that supposed to mean? Why would she lie about something like that?
I know you don't want to consider it, but look at this and tell me. Can you still deny the possibility?
There's something I want to talk to you about, just us two. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay? That clearly says Sayaka.
I found a notepad during my search, and I shaded in the top sheet with a pencil.
I didn't find a notepad, where was it?
And these are the words that appear.
Oh man! I've totally seen people do that.
See,
on
she's the
detective shows.
ultimate detective.
When you write, it can leave an imprint. Sketch
That-
over the
I-
next
that
sheet of
has to
paper,
be right.
And you can see the words. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I better make sure I rip the paper out before I use it from now on.
It's a pretty old-fashioned technique, but even the classics can be surprisingly useful sometimes.
Mondo looks so angry right now.
Oh, and I should also mention, I found the notepad on the desk in Makoto's room.
Oh. Didn't I check the notepad in my room? Why didn't I find that?
Huh? Which means only someone who had been in Makoto's room before the incident could have written it.
Then either it was Makoto who lived there, or Sayaka who switched rooms for a single night.
So, Makoto, did you write this?
No, it was signed by Sayaka.
No, I didn't. But
Of course you didn't, because the note also bears a perfectly legible signature. Sayaka's signature.
Then that note, Sayaka wrote it?
but why? Why would she write that?
Why indeed, Makoto?
The note was likely her way of getting in touch with a certain someone. She must have slid it under their door to let them know she wanted to meet with them in secret.
If you got an invitation like that from the ultimate pop sensation, what young man could resist?
Of course, I'm only into 2D, so it wouldn't have any effect on me.
Sure, it wouldn't.
But can we be sure anyone even got this note? And honestly, even if they did, I do not think they are at all involved in what happened.
Based on what?
Huh? What makes you say that?
Would you like to hear what I have to say?
Yeah,
Very well then. Pay attention.
I'm always down to hear what Celeste has to say. Dorm nameplates.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct?
Correct.
But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was staying in. So in other words, even if someone did read the note and did what it said, they would not have any connection to what happened.
It certainly would seem that way.
I'm pretty sure I should have pressed down on the room Makoto was staying in. The killer went to my room instead of Sayaka's, and the reason for that is it has to be because of what got switched between my and Sayaka's room. Yeah, okay.
Sayaka
I
and Makoto
I
switched
don't think I
rooms,
can
correct?
actually speed up on these parts
But
because
in
it
the
said
note,
to
the
use
place
control
they were
to
asked
speed
to
up,
come to,
and
it specifically
control is
says,
my
my
recording
room.
button, so it'll stop the
see.
recording.
So
Unfortunate.
if someone read that
I'll
note,
change that key
then they would
binding.
have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was...
No, it's wrong. The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
They got switched?
Yeah, they got switched.
That's right. The nameplates got switched, just like the rooms themselves. As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's
Oh,
name.
that Sayaka had to do that then. No one else would have known. And why would she switch it if she was actually scared? I really needed Kyoko here to hold my hand.
And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
Yep.
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem.
I love that Mondo continues to look infuriated.
And the one who switched the names was... Well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
It wasn't me. It wouldn't make any sense, Kyoko.
Right?
Okay, then who did it?
Sayaka? There's only one person who could have switched the nameplates. The only other person who knew we had switched rooms. I believe things are starting to line up here,
Me
everyone.
and Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms.
Yep.
So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was Sayaka.
You can also infer as much from her note.
Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate.
She sure does.
She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
So that the person coming didn't know they had switched rooms?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her. We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes? Perhaps the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then... we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene.
There was.
Was that
I got that
perhaps
with
used
her.
during the fight?
Oh yeah. What's the deal with that sword?
Look.
Sayaka
It's a long
suggested I
story.
should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
There's gold on her wrist. The reason I know Sayaka's wrist was broken with the fake sword is because when you look at her wrist, there's no doubt.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen, there's something glittery there. See?
Is that gold?
Yep.
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword. You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you. And there's some on her wrist because...
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword, right there on her wrist!
You're right, Kiyotaka.
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
All right, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
What happened in my room and what led to Sayaka's death. That's what we need to make clear. There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Would you like to hear more? Sure. Are you getting used to these non-stop debates? Yes. Starting with the next debate, I'll start loading multiple truth bullets into your truth cylinder. But just like with the weak spots, only one of those bullets can actually refute the proper statement. In other words, from here on out, you'll have to combine the right truth bullets with the right weak spots to refute each statement. If you come up with the wrong combination, you'll take damage to your influence gauge. You can press the Q key to rotate the cylinder and choose which button to fire. Okay. Press and release the Q key to cycle through each bullet. Or you can use the mouse wheel. By the way, if the logic difficulty is set to kind, fewer bullets will be loaded into the cylinder. For our purposes this time, the logic difficulty will be set to mean. Oh. Well then, good luck and have fun. Replica sword sheath, kitchen knife set, or replica sword. Alright.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack.
And that's what broke Miss Maizono's wrist.
So she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away.
But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
I'm not sure here. If the person with the sword really did attack first, there's no explanation for how a certain part of the sword got damaged.
When the fighting broke out,
The sheath
the culprit grabbed the sword,
has
and that's when the first
cuts
blow
and
was dealt.
slices on it.
A sword-based sneak attack.
That's
That,
what broke Miss
that might have been the
Maizono's
one I needed
wrist.
to choose.
So she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away.
But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
I'm not sure which is the best one that like lines up.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword.
I'm gonna try the replica sword
that's when the
sheath
first
for
blow
the
was
sneak
dealt.
attack.
A sword-based sneak attack.
No, that's wrong.
Did I get that right? Did I do it?
Actually, no. I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Why not?
Because the sword sheath had been scratched.
Okay.
See? There's a gash in it. Like someone cut into it with something sharp.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.
Stop jumping ahead. Slow down and explain it so I get what the hell's going
Yeah,
on.
thank you, Mondo. I need it explained slowly as well.
If the sword was used first, there wouldn't be any explanation for the scratch on the sheath. If you were going to attack with the sword, you'd take it out of the sheath first, right?
Yeah.
That's true. With the sheath on, it'd be heavy and bulky and useless as shit.
Okay, so how did the sheath get damaged?
If they got attacked with the kitchen knife, maybe they grabbed the sword as a defensive impulse. In that situation, there wouldn't be any time to actually unsheath the sword.
So you're saying the sword was initially used to defend against an attack from the knife?
Yes.
Which means whoever had the kitchen knife was the one who attacked first.
I think I get it. So here's how it all played out. The culprit came in, found the kitchen knife hidden there somewhere. Then they took the knife and attacked Sayaka before she knew what was happening.
I don't think that's right.
So she grabbed the sword to defend herself, but then the culprit took that from her too. Then, after they broke her wrist with the sword, they took the knife and finished it.
Sorry, but I don't think Sayaka used the sword to defend herself.
I don't think so either.
What? How the hell can you not think that?
Because she never held the sword at all. There's a certain part of her body that makes this clear.
Her hands don't have any gold on them. The part of her body that shows she never used the sword. If you wanted to use a sword, which part of your body would have to touch it? Your palms!
I got it! You're talking about her palms, right?
I am.
The palms of her hands were perfectly clean, so I don't think she ever picked up the sword.
Me either.
How can you know that just by looking at her palms?
Remember, we just talked about how the gold gets everywhere.
Like I said before, the gold coating on that sword comes right off. All you have to do is touch it. In fact, if you look, you'll notice that a lot of the gold has already come off the handle. It's safe to assume that's because whoever used the sword got some of it on their hands.
Yep.
There's really no way she could have picked it up and come away completely clean.
Maybe she washed her hands after she escaped into the bathroom.
Is even sink water off?
Sorry, but
Why did you say that?
Is it because you think I'm ugly?
No, that's not why.
No, that's not it at all.
There's no way Sayaka washed the gold coating off her hands because there's a certain regulation that talks about what happens to the bathrooms at nighttime. The water was off. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was the shower water or
According
like
to the
all water.
Monokuma file, Sayaka's time of death was around 1:30 a.m.
Yep.
In other words, at nighttime. And the water in the bathroom shuts off at nighttime, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I haven't taken a shower.
What the hell? We've been here for like at least a few days.
Oh my.
You're no different. You smell like a big fat ugly donkey.
Whoa.
I'm not sure whether to take that as an insult or a compliment.
Why would that be a compliment at all?
Insult, obviously.
Yeah, what?
So anyway, if Sayaka never touched the sword, then that
Thank you
means
for getting us back on track, Kiyotaka.
the killer is the only one who used the sword. But hold on. If that's right, then the one who damaged the sheath with the kitchen knife was...
The one who damaged the sheath would have had to have been the one without the sword. Guys, I think it might have been Sayaka.
I got it! Sayaka? She had the kitchen knife?
Yeah, dude, she was the one who got it from the kitchen.
But we already said that the attack started with...
The person with the knife attacked first, and the sword was used as an impromptu
Yep,
defense.
yep.
And the one who attacked first was...
Sayaka?
Now do you
I see.
understand? She wasn't a blameless victim in this.
No, far from it. It's almost as if she'd been planning to commit a murder of her own.
Well, you know, I talked about her acting weird for so long, but I didn't expect
Took
this.
the knife from the kitchen, then invited the culprit to the room she was staying in. And if it's true that she had the kitchen knife and attacked without provocation,
Indeed. These are all the actions of an assailant.
Yeah, they sure are.
Which brings up another point. Makoto, Sayaka was the one who suggested you two switch rooms, correct?
Yeah, she was.
Maybe the reason she wanted to switch rooms was so that she could pin the crime on you. That is a possibility, is it not?
Yeah, that might be a possibility. You're right. I don't really want to talk about it though.
Sayaka wanted to... on me?
Whoa. That sounds a lot more inappropriate than what she was actually doing.
That would also explain why she would switch the nameplates. She wanted to get whoever she had targeted to come to Makoto's room where she was staying. And by committing the murder there, instead of her room, that would implicate Makoto. But for that to work, the target had to be lured out while still keeping the room swap a secret. If the target knew she had switched rooms, they would have become suspicious right away.
So all that's why she switched the names?
But doesn't that plan seem a little risky? For one thing, even if her plan worked, Mr. Naegi would just tell everyone they'd switched rooms.
I don't know. I'm not sure our soft-hearted Makoto is capable of that kind of cutthroat behavior. I'm sure Sayaka realized the same thing, which is why out of all of us,
Oh no,
asked
she
him to
used
switch
me.
rooms.
Plus, she was the ultimate pop sensation. A totally forgettable kid. Or a national superstar. Who are you more likely to believe?
Oh, this is heartbreaking.
Wait, then you're saying she had this all planned out?
Holy shit!
But in the end, her plan backfired. She launched her attack with the knife, then found herself under attack in turn. That must be when her wrist got broken, and she was forced to drop the knife.
The tables were suddenly turned on her, and she died at the hands of the one she'd planned to murder.
Just hold on! That can't be true! Because
Because...
Because what?
Hey! You guys have totally derailed the argument. You're being super boring right now. Come on, hurry up and decide who did it.
Look, this is very important. Please let us take our time.
Wouldn't it be awful if I had to punish you all just because you ran out of time?
Don't do that.
Oh yeah, we gotta decide who we think did it.
Yeah, that's why we're here, hero.
Makoto, right now you just need to concentrate on figuring out the answer to this mystery. If we can't uncover who murdered Sayaka, it's over for all of us.
Is it really all over? Obviously, I'm committed to finding out who killed her, but what can I do? I mean, as far as clues go, there's nothing left. Dying message?
It's easy just to say, hey, decide who did it. But there just aren't any more clues, right?
That's not true.
Very well. Then let's
Did
review
that not
all
click
the
on
clues
that?
we've found
Okay.
up to this point one more time.
God
Do we
dang it.
really have time for all that?
Die! Die! If we don't do something, we're all gonna die!
I thought I clicked on that. Yeah, I know, Makoto.
It's
I
easy
thought I
just
died.
to say, hey, decide
Oops.
who did it.
Shoot, I didn't mean to hit
But there
that.
just aren't any more clues, right?
No, there are.
That's wrong. There still might be one clue left. Sayaka's dying message.
Dining, wait, what did you say?
Dying.
The dying message. She wrote something on the wall behind her, remember? 11037. Written in her own blood. There must be a clue about the killer hidden in there.
It's not numbers.
Well, before we get too far into that, I need to ask, can we really be sure that Sayaka is the one who wrote
I
it?
thought the same thing, Celeste. I thought it might just be someone trying to frame him. There's no question that Sayaka wrote that message, and I can prove it. Because her finger has blood on it? But someone could have done that so easily. I don't think that's very solid
Her
evidence,
left
to be
index
honest.
finger had blood on it. That could only be because she used that finger to write the message.
I see. She broke her right wrist during the fight, so she'd have to use her left hand to write.
Sure. I think we can all agree Sayaka wrote it. But still, what the heck do those numbers mean? 11037?
Hey, Chihiro.
What does it mean?
You're a computer nerd or whatever, right? You should know all about numbers and shit.
No, that's not... Yes, I'm a programmer, but I don't see any kind of meaning in these numbers.
Of course. It's because they're not numbers.
Kyoko knows!
Oh, yeah, it looks like...
Huh? What? What?
No, it's just... look at the numbers, assuming they're not numbers. Don't these first two, 1, 1, look less like two numbers and more like one letter?
Ah, you're right. The connecting line is barely there, so I assumed it was 1, 1, but... Looking at it now, you could also
You
read it as an
could.
N.
Whoa. You might have finally just said something worth a shit.
Our little gray cells are really getting excited now.
But even if that really is an N037, doesn't make any more sense than before.
Yep. Really?
Rotate the image 180 degrees.
Huh? Rotate it? I think maybe. Maybe I see something.
Oh my god. Now I see. She wrote down the killer's name.
Huh? You just shot past the clue part and right onto who did it. So, whose name did she write?
Sayaka's dying message reveals the real killer's name. If you turn her message 180 degrees, it should become crystal clear.
answer.
It's Leon.
The key to solving this mystery was simply to rotate the writing 180 degrees. If you turn the message around, it becomes the letters L-E-O-N. L-E-O-N. Or more accurately, Leon.
What the hell are you talking about? It's just a coincidence. It's just a bunch of random squiggles that happen to look like my name.
No, it's not random at all. She wrote that message on the wall behind her as she was leaning up against it. In that position, she couldn't move to write normally, and had to write upside down, as it were. And as a result, when you look at it standing in front of her, it ends up getting flipped. Try it for yourself if you want. Write something sitting like her, and the letters will be inverted.
Yep, it's true.
That sounds like one hell of a stretch to me. I'm the killer? You can't just go and say shit like that.
If you're not the killer, then why did you try to destroy the evidence?
Huh?
You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The evidence Leon tried to get rid of?
The incinerator? The shirt sleeve?
I got it! You mean the burnt shirt piece I found laying on the ground by the incinerator, right?
As the killer stabbed Sayaka, they must have gotten some of her blood on them.
Yeah, probably. That bathroom was a blood mess.
And to dispose of the shirt covered in the victim's blood, they threw it into the incinerator.
But one piece burned off and got left behind.
How does she know this?
And the killer didn't notice. If they had,
Celeste
they
didn't
most
do
certainly
anything.
would have panicked.
She just hung out.
Isn't that right, Leon?
But is one scrap of fabric enough to conclude that Leon is guilty?
Yeah, I mean, Leon's not the only one wearing a white button-up.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
That's right. There are plenty of other people here with shirts like mine. With just that one little charred piece, there's no way you can say for sure who it belongs to.
You're right. That alone isn't enough. But there are some other points that may reveal the truth.
Are you finally starting to understand? The answers to all the riddles are right here.
Yeah, I think so.
The burnt remains of the button-up shirt, which the killer wasn't able to get rid of. There's something about it we need to pay attention to in order to figure out who's responsible. When it was disposed of, how it was disposed of, or where it was disposed of. How about how it was disposed of, yeah?
I got it! If we look closely at how the shirt was disposed of, we should be able to figure
Because
out
no
who
one
the
should have been
killer
able to
is.
get into the incinerator, except for Hifumi.
That's a good point. I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, do you, Leon?
You can't reach the incinerator without opening the gate in front of the trash room, right?
Yes.
And obviously, you wouldn't be able to hit the switch to turn it on either.
Yes.
You need the key to get in, and the one with the key was the person on cleaning duty. So the killer had to be whoever was in charge of taking care of the trash, right?
Interesting.
No, that's wrong. There was another way to use the incinerator without being the one on cleaning duty. And that's exactly what proves that Leon is the real— This episode ended up being really long, so I have cut it in half here. Thank you for watching. I'm excited to see the end of this play out in the next episode. I'll see you there. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.